Hey everyone, JK here. So finally we're in my Type R, the ep3. This is basically a test drive video. So what I'd do on the test drive if I was buying a car. So by now you've looked at all the paperwork, everything checks off, you're happy with the mileage, you've had a look at the engine, you've had a look at the dipstick, you know the oil's nice and clean. Or even if it's not clean, if it tallies with his last oil service, then that's fine. So now this car's been stood for about a week. It's quite a cold day, but you want to test drive it as cold a day as you can, and you want to make sure that the owner hasn't warmed the engine up. So it's a stone cold start, and then you'll know when the engine fires up, any strange noises or whatever. In this video, it's going to be a short test drive, probably 10 minutes, including an overtake, probably, because it's quite busy out there. It's Valentine's Day 2016. So this car is my Valentine, so I thought I'd give her a bit of a drive. Right, so cracking up. One thing I have done is I never leave the handbrake on. I just leave it in gear, because otherwise the pads stick to the discs on the rear and it causes a bit of problem there. So that's one thing you should probably look for as well. Make sure the pads aren't sticking, no warping. So here we go. There you go. Fine straight up. I'll turn the air off. I'll put this on, see. So it's ticking over nicely. It's just below 2000 RPM. It's actually at 1800 RPM by the looks of it. I could do with a bit of fuel, but yeah, as you can tell, no knocking noises. Everything sounds good. Tick over's constant and it's smooth. You know, there's no dipping or dropping. What you might get with a car that's stood is the revs sound like they dip below 1000 RPM, and that's because the valves are dirty or something. I can't remember, it's off the top of it, but the way I've had that problem and the way I solved it was just VTEC. VTEC, it's when you haven't VTEC for a while, the revs drop below 1000 RPM and it seems like the car's going to stall. So if that does happen, it might be okay once it's had a VTEC on the test drive, but you need to VTEC obviously. So right, let's roll out and have a drive. Because the engine's stone cold, I don't ever go over 3000 RPM, and I never hard accelerate. So you're going to witness that in this video. So yeah, I'm actually changing up to 2500 RPM, but you can go up to 6 if you want. Just don't go over 6 in cold, and never hard accelerate in cold. It actually tells you not to do that in the manual, I think, as well. That's probably where I got it from. So here we are in the village, doing a nice steady 30, keeping an eye for potholes. Sometimes what I'll do as well, it's what the Mac. You probably won't get the benefit of this because you're buying a used Type R, but you'll get the Mac Advanced Driving course when you buy the car from new. I don't know if they still do that. And one thing they teach you, because it's an ex-police driver, they'll tell you to use driving commentary. Sometimes I do that, particularly if I'm driving on a racetrack quickly. You know, then you do need to, because you've got to give yourself commentary so you can see what's ahead of you, and then your brain responds accordingly without you knowing. But anyway, the engine's slowly warming up. I'm driving nice and steady. Currently cruising at 1800 RPM, 5th gear, doing 29 miles an hour. I can't really do what I'd normally do because the car's behind me. You know, you'd give the steering a bit of a jerk to see if you can hear any creaking or anything like that. I can't do that because the car's behind me. They're actually quite close behind me as well for some reason. Everyone seems to be in a bit of a rush today, even though it's a Sunday. So, never mind. Back up to 30. What I tend to do is as well, it's because I do a lot of towing and I do a lot of off-roading, is I tend to put it in put the clutch in and let the car glide a bit. Coast as I call it, but the media call it gliding. That helps keep fuel down and it helps keep the engine cool as well. I do it on my trips to London as well. So you know, when you're doing high revs, it gives a chance the engine to keep cool and stops engine evaporating, oil evaporating. Right, because it's a warm day, the engine's actually in VTEC zone now for temperature, so we can give it a bit of VTEC. But as you can tell, everything's smooth, it's quiet, no unpleasant noises, and that's what you're looking for. Feel it that there's no feedback on the steering wheel, so I can't feel any wobbling or anything like that. Everything's smooth. It's what you'd expect from a car as if it was new, basically. Alright, so now we're doing a nice steady 60 miles an hour. No problems, mirrors are good. So as you guys can tell, there is no noises, no dodgy noises, no knocking noises, everything's smooth. Bear in mind, I've not done an oil change since 2014. And everything's smooth as smooth as, I don't know what the saying is, sweet as a nut, I don't know. But there's a guy here, Polo. Should we overtake him? Or would it be a bit offensive? We will do him. So safe overtake. There we go. Nice. We just hit 65 mile an hour, so I'll dive down a bit. But there, as you can tell, the car overtook smoothly. The VTEC was beautiful. Now, what you just saw there was what I find with boy racers is, and young people, when they want to overtake someone or when they're racing, they tend to be right in your boot and then they overtake. You can't do that, because if the car in front suddenly brakes hard, you're going to smash into the back of him, and there goes your insurance. So always, what you're looking for is you're looking beyond the driver in front of you. Obviously, you're anticipating the driver doing so much and you're allowing for error, but ultimately you need to always expect the unexpected. So I personally have never done the boot thing where you're in someone's boot and then overtake. In fact, the Mac Advanced Driving Instructor tells you to you dip back a bit, then as you overtake, you go into the overtake lane, i.e. the opposite side of the road, but you stay there for a second and you drive in that lane until you're happy it's clear. Then you drop it down a gear and go. That's how the police do it, and that way you'll always know. Because there's nothing worse, and it's happened to me a couple of times, when you overtake and then all of a sudden there's something coming opposite direction and you're like, whoa, I think I'm gonna die. So yeah, but that was beautiful. The car propelled itself. Now the VTEC, obviously it's not the same as a motorbike where you'll feel the power and then your head will go back and you'll go into the seat. What it's designed to do with this car is it's supposed to, as the engine rev range is at its peak, and then power to RPM starts to dip because it's reached its peak, the VTEC then pushes it back up again. So you get a constant, if you were to draw a graph, you'd see a constant positive growth on the graph, and then obviously at whatever RPM it dives off. I think the limiter on this is 8,500 RPM standard. So again, we're going to go, this is a first gear VTEC now. Bit of wheel spin, but there you go, smooth as a. The other thing you're testing for is tyre quality. So there, and brakes, obviously do a bit of hard braking as well, but there the wheels span a bit. I've not VTEC'd in first gear for a long time, so it's a cool day. You'd expect a bit of wheel spin because it's such a powerful car. It's a dry day obviously, but I think the temperature is 7 degrees, so that's probably a cold surface temperature. Obviously not enough grip for the tyres, so it did wheel spin a bit, but there, what you experienced there, saw there, was very smooth power delivery from engine to tarmac, very quick propulsion from first to second to third, 60 seconds in about 6 seconds, as the book says. And bear in mind, this is a 10-year-old car now, it's still performing like new. Right, we're going to do a bit of a hard brake. So there, yeah, you know, just check the brakes. Now the brakes on mine aren't that great, and that's because it's been stood for so long. I very rarely use the ABS as well. In fact, I've never used ABS in this car, so it's what I need to do. But yeah, brakes are fine. I can actually do a bit of a steering test now. Now there's no... So you've done a couple of VTEC tests. Second gear's fine. There's none of that crunching that people tell you about. One guy said if that happens, you should walk. Me personally, I'd probably take the car and rebuild the gearbox myself, or get my man at Land Rover to do it, at the Land Rover garage. But what you do now is you're testing the steering as well, like that. No noises, everything's smooth, it grips well. Yeah, it's similar to what they've done in MOT. They test the steering like that. So no unpleasant noises, plenty of power in the VTEC. It flew to 60 as you saw there. It overtakes fine, steering's fine, brakes fine. If you're happy with the test drive, when you get back to the guy's house, put the hazard lights on and check that all the indicators are working. Bear in mind, right, I'm assuming you're buying the Mark II Type R EP3, i.e. the Type R that's had all the work done on it, all the recall work done on it. I think some gypsies there, travellers there, and so on. So yeah, this is the EP3 Mark II 2006 plate, so you know it's the very last off the production line. So all problems that were in the 01 reg or the early 04 reg, they've all been ironed out in this. This has had no recall work done to it because it's all been done at the factory. With my friend, he had the 01 reg and he had to have the recall work done. The front suspension was creaking, all sorts of things. But the only problem I've had, like I said in my last video, is the oil valve, the oil seal, the seal between the gearbox and the crankshaft and the engine. There's a leak there. Just avoided a nasty pothole there. You see, I can always avoid potholes. So yeah, there you go. That's how you test drive a Type R or any car. You know, you put it through its paces. In the VTEC, I always go up to well into the red. I don't hit the limiter anymore. I did, like I said, I used to in my youth hit the limiter a lot. I'll be honest with you. In the early days, I drove this car a bit like an idiot. You know, I wasn't dangerous. It's just I'd first gear it around town. And the reason I do that is because a day like today, where I live, you get a lot of Ferraris, and they do the same thing. So you join the club, don't you? When a Ferrari first gears it everywhere, everybody looks. You know, it's a V8, probably a 3.5 litre, 4 litre engine. But when this car VTEC's in first gear, it also makes people look. So, you know, you feel like you're part of the club, and it's nice. It is nice. And some days I do. It happened a couple of Easters ago, where I've taken the car out, and there has been Ferraris on the road. You know, just people running the car, and I've been with them, done a bit of a sprint with them, and that was good fun. One guy in his 360 Modena way back when this was new, we got in a bit of a sprint, and yes, he was in my boot because obviously the 360 Modena is a 3.6 V8 and is what 400 brake horsepower. But the lights you saw back there, we went off the lights, hitting 60, and the guy couldn't overtake me because the car's quick, you know. Yes, it does not 60 in 4 seconds, that car, but this does it in 6. And what that means is, as you're both going up to 60, you'd need a hell of a lot more power to overtake you at the same time, while you're both catapulting up to 60. So, yeah, he was behind me and he couldn't overtake me because the car basically wasn't powerful enough. The 360 Modena wasn't powerful enough. Obviously, to 100, you'd bury this car because, you know, supercars are designed for that speed. So yeah, that's it. That's how you do a test drive in a Civic Type R, and that's what you're looking for. Any noises, anything dodgy basically. And this is smooth as a nut. And you can hear tick over if we just be quiet. Smooth. It's now at 900 RPM. It's ticking over constantly at 900 RPM, and yeah, that's it. Nice and steady. If there's anything you need to know, don't you know, hesitate. Ask questions. Like the video, subscribe to the channel because there's plenty more coming.